How many times have you looked at your hand? Probably more times you can count in a day, right? Well, have you ever stared at your fingerprints or the lines in your hands for a long time? If you have, you may have noticed that there are many different variations of shapes and sizes, or even just multiple lines that come off of one of another. Do you think that these lines actually mean anything? Well, some people do believe that these lines have predetermined your life and that the predestiny for your future is written completely right here in your hand. I'm going to inform my audience about palmistry and some of the history behind it, as well as what some of the lines may mean in palm reading. This practice of reading palms and the idea it can reveal someone's future and fortune actually has a history from England and some gypsies that kept it around. This topic personally has always interested me. I have spent time researching it just for new ideas, answers, just clarification. I do actually find it very interesting. And I do think that this actually could be relevant to somebody in many ways. It can, even if it's just to help pass the time, entertain a new hobby, it actually can be a good conversation starter. Maybe if you have a new job and you're just trying to meet people, or if you just want to gain some new insight and information on a different way of life or a new topic. So the practice of reading palms and the idea that it can reveal someone's fortune does have a history from England and the gypsies that kept it around. So first I will discuss some of the history. A brief history of palm reading would include some of the roots. Before England, it did actually seem to originate somewhere in the Middle Eastern part, maybe in India, and gypsy travelers. Palmistry is an ancient tradition, and it has traveled through many countries, cultures, and just all kinds of walks of life. Actually stated by Weinbaum in a peer-reviewed article, palmistry is not so much a thriving British tradition, but the immigration from India actually have brought the practice to England, where many serious palmists made a go of it in the Indian community and for the British who were intrigued as well. So basically, it migrated over here with different immigrants and people wanting to come to the country, and the British became fascinated with it. Actually, they really enjoyed the idea and began to adopt to it. Some may have picked up the practice, some just may have had it told. Also stated by Weinbaum in 1542 under Henry VIII's reign, palmistry actually was banned under a Witchcraft Act, which did forbid anyone to tell fortunes. Henry VIII did have brutal punishments, and many resulted in death, and just him having no mercy with anyone who was found practicing palm reading themselves or getting their palm read by somebody. Since he did believe that it was a form of witchcraft and not in their morale of knowing the future. However, when Queen Elizabeth I came to rule, the punishments did become a little less severe, and there was no more beheading or extermination of people found with this. It was more so imprisonment, where you spend the rest of your life in prison, unless the practice caused harm to somebody in some way. And actually, to this day, palm reading is technically still illegal in Britain. And the fascination with palmistry also did spark the interest due to rebellion. The king decided that it was going to be illegal right when people were starting to pique their interest in it, and when it became illegal, they really rebelled and got really into it, which brought the gypsies who migrated over from a Middle Eastern area, which could have been India. Stated by Cressy in a peer-reviewed article, they actually states that gypsies first coming to England does seem to have been during the reign of King Henry VIII, and they did seem to come from a Middle Eastern area. So they actually saw some sort of need and demand for it here, which is why they came. People were still intrigued and still wanted this done. So another thing that I want to talk about is just a brief way into read a palm. First, I'm going to state about the Lifeline by the Psychic Library, which actually is right here. It actually starts right around my index finger and runs down to the base. This does not actually mean how long you're going to live, but more so the kind of life that you're going to have. And keep in mind that everybody's palm is going to look different, and you are supposed to use your more predominant hand, which for me is my right hand, instead of my left. It tells you what kind of life you're going to live. For example, a long and deep line stated by the Psychic Library is said to indicate the person is going to live a healthy, well-balanced life. And a short and deep line is said to indicate the person will have a good ability to overcome some sort of physical problems. For example, a speedy recovery when they break their leg or become sick from an illness. The second one is called the heart line, which actually starts for me right here in between my middle and index finger and runs to my pinky. And that's just stating how I'm going to feel about emotion and loving relationships, whether that be with friends, family, coworkers, any sort of loving relationship. A chained or gridded line is said for the person to have a flirtatious attitude. And a curved line is more so said to indicate a physical and emotion sensitivity. They're easily to be hurt by someone. So in conclusion, palm reading does have a long history that does involve migration to a new country, gypsies, and banishment. Has your palm been right so far about your life? And what does it reveal about your future?